What's up, y'all? I'm back with another video for the Residential Locksmith Starter Series. I know I'm kind of lagging on these, but I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. But today we're going to be talking about the Baldwin. No keys, no rekeying, nothing. This is straight up repair for the Baldwin Handleset, tubular style Handleset. I call it Handleset. Some people call this a pitcher, like a water pitcher handle. I don't know why. I guess I can see it. Pitcher handle. Some people call them Gripsets. There's a number of different names for them. I just call them Handleset, all one word. And the biggest problem with the Baldwin tubular one, I believe, is images, is the thumb thing goes out and it requires replacement with the 5399 003G if you're using bright brass. Anyway, this is a standard tubular lock made out, this is Baldwin. They've been around for a long time, and what happens is people from the outside, they press the thumb thing. You see how it's not retracting the latch? That is because the little doodad on the inside is gone, toast. Another reason this one's not working real well is because it's kind of bent right there. That happens quite a bit as well when, if some screws are loose on the inside and people have to pull a door, pulling on the door, trying to get it to close, especially with our Yazoo clay we have that causes doors to bind up. It can actually bend it out and cause those screws to get loose, which we didn't cover it in the Kwikset section, but with Kwikset pitcher or handle sets like this, and I have done several videos on those, and according to the view count, it's a wildly bad problem, but you can tighten up the screws on the inside of the Kwikset because they just come loose, causing all sorts of problems, including pulling and bending the handle. But typically on the Baldwin, you have to replace it. So here incoming the 5399, the 003 is the finish. So this is bright brass, even though they really tried to do the cheap way out and spray painted it black. It's not black. It's never been black. It's been just polished brass. You need that kit that just fell on the floor. So let's get it open. Let's get this guy off the door, because one of the little irritating things about this is this rosette on the bottom. I gotta get the fucking phone. Okay, for this we're gonna need the Eklund 20912 with the Jason mods. I'll put the video link up here with the 1/8 inch. As with any Baldwin, you're gonna need an Allen wrench, hex wrench to unscrew the knob. And the reason why we have the Jason mod is because it gets really close. Right there to the wood. If you had the hex, this comes with hex nuts that has like sharp corners. When you're right up on, this is the main reason. I'm telling you this because this is the main reason for the Jason mod. See how close that is to the wood? It's much better having a very smooth, low profile surface. Anyway, we're gonna get it loose. Nice heavy knob. And if we look really close at this guy, we see two little tabs right here. Normally you can just pull this off because those are just little metal spring-loaded tabs. They're no real problem to defeat. However, I will say sometimes if it's painted on, you do have to cut around with a razor knife. But if you have a little bit of a problem with them, you can always push them in just a little bit towards the inside right there, and that'll bend it in just enough for you to get it off. See right here, this screw is just not going into anything yet. But before we do that, we're going to focus our attention down here because it's usually best to take off this part first. Now this is a screw cap covering the screw that goes through the wood and holds the bottom of the handle on, goes into a female thread portion down here. We're going to take our pair of pliers, which you can use this if this is all you have. However, it's not ideal. Also, number one reason why the Knipex smooth parallel jaw pliers, this is not sponsored by Knipex, but this is one of the main reasons why it's kind of important to have a tool like this. When you squeeze the handle, it goes up and down instead of kind of side to side like that. And the smooth jaws will lessen the chance of you marring the finish right here. So basically you just get it to size, clamp on a little bit, and then turn, and it will unscrew just like that. Now, if you don't want to spend, you know, $50+ on a pair of pliers, if you're only doing one of these, then I would highly encourage you to take some painter's tape, just like this, and wrap it 2 or 3 times before you go to grabbing it with pliers. Also, I might note, if you stick the painter's tape to the wood of the door, you're going to make it even harder on yourself getting it off. So just kind of be careful when you're doing this, and it will save you a little bit of a headache later on. I'm going to wrap it a couple of times real quick, and then grab our other pair of pliers. If all you have is this, then it's, you know, it is what it is. So we're just going to get it, grab it, make sure you're not hitting the wood, because when you turn the pair of pliers, you're going to scratch the wood. See, that's the problem with using pliers like that. Let's give this a go from the other direction. Honestly, these are not, I've never used these kind of pliers, so you know, yeah, channel locks, regular alligator, regular Nipex, they may have worked a little bit better, but if you look really closely at almost everybody's, at some point in time there are some claw marks in it. Now luckily this one's got paint and stuff, so it's you know, kind of already in bad condition. If it's in prime condition, you definitely want to take as much care as possible with it. So now we're going to unscrew the bottom screw, which will release any tension up here as well. That's why we do this one first. Hopefully it is not cross-threaded on you, because, you know, installers are sometimes a little special. And we'll go ahead and do this top one, because that bottom screw is not working. It's either missing something or something. I don't know what's going on. It's what we're getting called out here to fix, right? See what the problem is. It's not all about rekeying, y'all. It's about repair too. Come on. Ooh, okay. And be careful when you pull this off. So you have your main mechanism. This is the interior spring. If you look, if you bend those tabs out, there is an interior coil spring that controls that diamond-shaped plate right there. And then this is the outside, your thumb thing. You see, this should have some type of spring mechanism in there too, but it is broken, because if you take one that is newer, see, it stays up. This one doesn't. So we're gonna get this guy off. Now they do come with a new latch, so at this point we're gonna go ahead and take off the spindle out of it. Okay, now this was actually put on correctly. This is where the set screw goes in the knob. So you want to make sure when you're putting it back on, if it's facing up, you'll see the set screw. So when you put this back on, you want it to be down at one of the 2 positions, either this way or this way. And then this brass ring. All this comes new in this box. So let's get it opened up and switch out these parts. Oh, and the latch. Yeah, latch gets replaced too. Let's see what is in the box. Should be all new parts to switch it out with a big old pack of directions. But we don't need directions because I'm showing you how to do it now. So, came with a new latch. Came with a new thumb pressy thing. Came with a new interior and the kit for it. So let's get this opened up. We're going to move the old out of the way. Alright, we've got several new screws. We've got a new spindle here, new washer. Don't forget your washer. They say it's important, but I don't really think it's that important. And our brass thumb turn. And Jason gets to answer the phone again. Okay, so to start off with, we have to remove this old guy right here. So we're going to go do that. Some of them have a little spring, as you can see on this one. The spring pokes through. So if you were taking off one of the newer versions of it, you see that spring right there, right? When you're putting it on, it's okay, but when you're taking it out, you may have to press in just a bit to get the head to clear. I swear this phone. anyway, if you're unscrewing it and it has the spring, you may have to press that spring to get the head of the screw to clear it. There we go. So we're going to take both of those off, but it doesn't come off because there is a hidden screw here. Well, this one does come off, but in the newer versions, there's a hidden screw, and I'll show you. So see, that does not have it, but we can see some issues with that. It's nasty. All right, so this is the reason why there are newer versions and why they come with this, because if you look at the back of this older version of it, I guess this will be a Gen 1, you see how that pin goes all the way across? And that's uses this pin and this style of setup. However, if you have to convert it, if this breaks, you have to take your pin out here, and you have to actually switch the thumb turn. Now, if your thumb turn matches this, come on out, come on, you can do it. If the thumb turn is the same and you don't need to switch it, then you don't need to switch it. There we go, just like that. So we're going to take this guy out. You can see this fit previously in right there, but when we're going to be switching it out with, uses a shorter doodad, I guess you could call that. So on this one, we do have to switch the thumb turn. Completely redesigned. They actually built the pin into the thumb turn. It makes a little bit more sense. So we're going to do this and that. Wiggle that guy in there just like that. And find our new interior piece, and we see what I was mentioning, this is actually a screw. It screws in to those threads right there. That's why that other one wasn't holding. So we're just going to make sure this tab goes in that hole, and voila. Makes it line up a lot easier too, by the way. Before you kind of had to wiggle it around to make it work right, like I'm having to do here. Yep, there we go. Get it in there, just like that, and hold it over that. Okay. 2 new screws came with new ones, so we'll put that right over the spring. See, because it's got the countersink head, it'll actually push that spring out of the way when you're screwing it down, but not so much when you're trying to back it out. So what we're going to do is going to go ahead and screw these down. Not super tight yet. You just want to get them in there because we need clearance. Keep screwing that. Sink. See, it's synced over it. There we go. And this guy, the fake screw. You can tell it's an actual screw because otherwise, why would one have that guy on there? Have this guy with you anyway, since you were doing the through bolt with it. So we're just going to grab that. Oh, no. Not my favorite pair of pliers by any means, but for a specialty pair of pliers, it is my favorite. Okay, we're tightening it down. We're not going to crank it down or anything. Just want it pretty kind of hand tight. And we're going to give those one more little oomph. 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 Okay, and we're going to try our thumb turn. And we have a nice spring going on. There we go. So we're going to get our latch. We're going to move all this over just like this. And grab our screws, our interior mechanism, and our new thing. We can go ahead and put this washer over that. Basically, that is protecting, that's giving this, since this is not a smooth edge, it's giving it a smooth surface because it goes up in there, and you don't want that rough surface scratching or messing up the inside of that. So that's what that brass washer is for. Let's move back over to the display. We're going to go ahead, get our latch in. And also, please, people, peel your plastic. Just locksmiths, everybody, anybody who's doing this, peel your plastic off. we would appreciate it. I'm not going to do it for this one because this is still, I'm going to take this all back off and it's going to go on the next person's house that needs it, since this is for demonstration only. But once you are done anything and it has a plastic film, please just go ahead. I'm so tired of taking off 20-year-old plastic. I typically will start putting it back on the door by, is this the right way? I think it is. By using the bottom screw, because it's much easier for it to catch, for you to see the threads for it to catch. So I'm just going to do this to start this screw off. Not tightening it at all, just enough to hold it on. And we're going to go in here. Now, there's a lot of leeway, and a lot of things have to line up correctly for this to work right. So on the outside here, what I'm doing is I'm holding it up with my hand and looking in there and seeing it line up. And when you're putting this guy on, it does have to be lined up. So if it's off like that, it's not going to work. So really you have to make sure that's lined up, and make sure your washer's covering that clip, and make sure the channel is either facing this way or this way. I always put the channel on this side of the door because it's just easier, a little bit easier to get to. So we're going to line that up. We're going to stick this guy in just like that till it stops. Make sure the channel's facing that way. And I'm still kind of, see how I'm able to hold it up on the outside here. I'm going to just center it as best I can. Grab my interior part. There's a hole in the latch that this solid post goes through. It's kind of like a stabilizer, I guess you could call it. All right, we're going to get that, and then grab our 2 screws and tighten them down until they're not quite totally tight at all by any means, just enough to hold it in position, because Baldwins are real ticky about being installed of this era, and that's probably why they went out of favor, just because of the general stupidity of the people that are installing things nowadays, like carpenters and such, or whatever. They can't get everything working right, because you know this guy fits through that triangular hole or the diamond shaped hole, and then it's got to go through the latch, and then it's got to go into the handle. So if everything is not lined up accurately, or the hole's off, or any number of things, when you do that, it's going to bind up. But it's not right now, so we're doing okay. I'm going to go ahead and start tightening down this bottom. Yep, give it a try. Okay, that's good. Again, make sure all your ovals are correct. If you have to twist them, these do twist a little bit, so you want it to look correct when you're putting this back on the door. But as you're tightening it, you just have to tighten a little bit, try it, tighten it a little bit, try it, yep, a little bit, yep, okay, yep. Let's give these a little bit of a snug, a little loose on the latch. Okay, that's not coming out quite far enough, so what do we got going on here? Latch alignment issues, maybe? Now's a good time, while it's not super tight, now's a good time to grab your knob and slip it on there and just give it a oomph up and down. Oomph up and down, just like that. And that typically will help line things up as well. We can actually loosen this just a bit. Let's take the knob off. Loosen it just a bit. And oomph it up and down a couple of times. Just like that. That looks good. Tighten. We're going to come down here to the bottom. Give it a snug up tighten. It's looking good there. Tighten top screw, looking good there. Bottom screw, still looking good. Top screw. Back and forth you go. Oh, that's a little too tight. It's not coming out. Not coming out quite far enough there, so something's going on with the alignment right there. So we're going to go ahead and give it another oomph up and down. Just like that. Hold it and tighten, tighten. Okay, I think we're good there, y'all. Yep. Time to go ahead. This was tight, so we're gonna go ahead and start this guy. And this you don't have to use a pair of pliers to tighten this back down. Literally, don't use a pair of pliers to tighten this back down. Hand tight is perfectly fine. That's all you gotta do. All right, we're gonna snap our guy on here again. If for some reason you're having to reuse the old one and those are compressed in, you can just poke your screwdriver in there and give it a little twist and snap it on. Should give you a solid, yep, okay, we're good. If yours has it, these normally didn't have the Mylar washer. Mylar washer provides a smooth surface so that this part is not rubbing up against this, and over years and years, it can actually gouge a groove in the solid brass knob. So you're not going to find this a lot on this style of lock, but in case you do, that's what that's there for. Just like that other washer, it's just to give you a smooth area. Loctite, blue or purple. I use blue for this, but I'll back this out. Always on Baldwin knobs, always on interior knobs that have a set screw like this. Blue Loctite is the way to go. I'm not going to do it for this, but just lost that washer. There it is. Not that it's needed or included with this guy, but it's not going to hurt it. All right, so what I do is I'll press in on the knob as far as possible. Well, check it. Yep. And give it a tighten. Until it's snug, and then we're going to turn this into our L shape to get the torque. And check, it's not coming out. Look at that. Oh, there it goes. And again, a lot of times, sometimes when you're tightening Baldwin stuff like this down, sometimes it just needs to be worked. And I'll tell people that, you know, it may be a little stiff in the beginning, but as long as it's properly lined up, so it's working now. So sometimes Baldwin stuff just requires you to use it, especially with mortise locks and stuff like that. So the more you push, pull, and tug, especially on screw together knobs, what'll happen is you'll screw it together and it may be just a little tight and not withdraw the latch. But as people pull on the door, and I always tell people, hey, you know, if it still acts weird or if it's still really tight after a couple of weeks of using it, then call me and I'll stop by. But like almost never I have to, because as them pulling the door and slamming it shut or doing this or whatever, it all just kind of falls into place, which it has already here. So shouldn't have any other problems out of this guy with the new thing. So that's it.